I never imagined my quiet morning would turn into a nightmare that questioned my sanity, my ownership, and my patience all at once. I woke up to unfamiliar noises outside, not birds or lawnmowers, but heavy machinery grinding into the earth. When I stepped into my backyard, my stomach dropped. A wooden frame was rising where my grass used to be. Strangers were measuring, drilling, and pouring concrete. Before I could even speak, an HOA Karen marched toward me, confident and loud, declaring I had no right to be there. She said the land was theirs now. I laughed at first, thinking it was a mistake. Then she told me my deed was fake. That was the moment I realized this story was far from over. I demanded to know who authorized the construction. Karen waved a clipboard in my face, speaking slowly, like I was a child. She claimed the HOA had reclaimed the land due to boundary corrections. Knew every inch of my property. I'd lived there for years, paid taxes, maintained fences, planted trees. None of that mattered to her. She insisted the structure was approved, permitted, and permanent. The workers avoided eye contact, clearly uncomfortable. I felt anger rise, but also disbelief. How could someone stand on my land and tell me it never belonged to me? I went inside, shaking, and pulled out my deed, the same document I signed at closing. I returned and held it out. Karen barely glanced before smirking. She said it was forged, outdated, meaningless. According to her, the HOA's records were the only truth. Neighbors started watching from their windows. No one intervened. Karen's confidence grew with every second. She told me I was confused and should check my facts before embarrassing myself. That sentence burned into my memory. I called the county office, then my attorney, then the police non-emergency line. Karen rolled her eyes and told the workers to continue, nails hammered deeper into what she claimed wasn't mine. Standing there, surrounded by strangers building on my property while being called a liar, I felt powerless. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. By the next day, the structure was unmistakable. Posts were set, walls outlined, and the damage to my yard was undeniable. Karen returned like she owned the place, inspecting progress with satisfaction. I confronted her again, this time calmer but firm. I told her the county confirmed my deed was valid. She laughed openly, drawing attention from neighbors. She claimed county employees were often wrong, and that the HOA's private survey overruled everything. Her certainty felt rehearsed, like she had practiced dismissing homeowners before. I decided to document everything. I filmed the structure, the workers, Karen's statements. When she noticed, her tone shifted. She accused me of harassment and threatened fines. According to her, recording was against HOA policy. I reminded her this was my land. She replied with the same line, cold and confident. No, it's not. That repetition was meant to break me. Instead, it fueled me. Later that afternoon, I met with a licensed surveyor. We walked the property line carefully, measuring, marking, verifying. The results were clear. The structure sat well within my boundary. I sent the report to the HOA board. Their response was delayed and vague, full of "we're reviewing" and "pending clarification." Meanwhile, construction continued. Karen seemed untouchable, empowered by silence. Tension spread through the neighborhood. Some neighbors quietly told me they believed me but didn't want trouble. Others avoided me entirely. Karen began spreading rumors, suggesting I was unstable and confused about my own property. Hearing that hurt more than the construction itself. She wasn't just taking land. She was attacking my credibility. When I finally received a message from the HOA, it wasn't an apology. It was a warning. They claimed I was interfering with authorized work and could face penalties. Reading that email, my hands shook. I realized logic alone wouldn't stop this. Karen wasn't mistaken. She was committed. And if I didn't push back harder, she'd get away with it. I escalated everything. I filed a formal complaint with the county, submitted evidence to my attorney, and requested a police presence. When officers arrived, Karen immediately took control of the conversation. She spoke confidently, painting me as a disruptive homeowner clinging to outdated paperwork. I waited patiently, then handed the officer my deed, the survey, and tax records. The officer reviewed them carefully. Karen's smile slowly faded. The officer explained that property disputes weren't criminal matters, but he confirmed one thing clearly. Construction should stop until ownership was resolved. That statement hit Karen hard. She argued loudly, insisting the HOA had authority. The officer repeated himself. The workers put their tools down. For the first time, silence replaced noise. Karen pulled me aside and warned me. I was making a huge mistake. She said the HOA would bury me in legal fees. I responded calmly, telling her the truth mattered more than threats. That was when her anger surfaced fully. She accused me of forging documents and lying to police. Hearing that, with witnesses present, crossed a line. My attorney filed for an injunction the same day. Within 48 hours, construction was legally halted. The judge reviewed the evidence quickly. The ruling was temporary but powerful. The HOA was ordered to stop all activity on my property. Karen wasn't present in court, but her absence spoke volumes. Word spread fast. Neighbors who once stayed silent began asking questions. Some admitted similar experiences, smaller abuses they never challenged. Karen's authority started to crack. Emails from the HOA shifted tone, suddenly polite and careful. They requested meetings instead of issuing threats. Standing in my damaged yard, looking at the half-built structure, I felt exhausted but vindicated. The fight wasn't over, but momentum had shifted. Karen could no longer dismiss me as confused. The facts were louder than her voice now. The final hearing came weeks later. This time, the HOA brought lawyers, documents, and excuses. Karen sat quietly, avoiding eye contact. My attorney presented a clear timeline. My deed, consistent tax payments, official surveys, and video evidence of unauthorized construction. The judge asked direct questions. The HOA's answers stumbled. Their private survey was outdated. Their authority was overstated. Their confidence evaporated. The ruling was decisive. The structure was illegal. The HOA was ordered to remove it and restore my property. They were also required to cover damages and legal fees. When the judge addressed Karen directly, he reminded her that authority does not replace ownership. That sentence felt like justice spoken aloud. Removal began days later. Watching the structure dismantled was strangely emotional. Each board carried away felt like reclaiming dignity. Neighbors stopped by, offering quiet support. Some apologized for not speaking up sooner. I didn't blame them. Fear thrives where bullies operate unchecked. Karen resigned from the HOA shortly after. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. The board issued a formal apology, carefully worded but necessary. They acknowledged mistakes without naming her. I accepted it, not because it erased what happened, but because it closed the chapter. My yard eventually healed. Grass grew back. Fences were repaired. But the experience changed me. I learned how easily confidence can be weaponized and how important it is to stand firm. When someone tells you reality isn't real, evidence becomes your anchor. Today, when I step outside, I feel grounded again. The land is mine, not just legally, but emotionally. And every time I see the empty space where that structure once stood, I'm reminded that truth, when defended, still wins. If you think HOA Karen crossed the line and stole someone's property, hit like to show your support, subscribe for more shocking HOA stories, and comment below what you would have done if this happened to you.